Good evening, Zambia. I'm here with Mr. Munshya and Chipakupaku, my co-presenter. And this evening, we have to come extremely late because there is some new business we must deal with. Today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. I know that it's still a holiday, but we have serious business to deal with Mr. Munshya and Chipakupaku, also known as General. And this is in connection with the burial of Kenneth David Kaunda. We couldn't hold it, General, could we?
No, good evening, Munshya, and greetings from Scotland. Good evening, Chiwempala. Good evening, Chinsali today. Good evening, Katete. Good evening, Kaoma friends today. And good evening to all our listeners. I know that we're coming a bit late, Muta, but we couldn't just hold on to this.
Right. Okay, so let's just cut this to where it really matters. When Kaunda died, President Lungu and his government completely ignored his death. We will keep talking about this because they're the ones who politicized this matter. So they politicized it. They told ZNBC not to mourn Kenneth Kaunda. Immediately it happened. And then we hear that suddenly they are now claiming that they are the ones that are going to determine Kaunda's burial place. General, that is unacceptable.
First of all, I think our listeners and our viewers must understand one thing. Kenneth David Kaunda was our first president, but he is not the president. He didn't die in office. So as far as we are concerned, the story that the state is saying Kenneth David Kaunda's body is government trophy, I think that's a big insult to the family.
Kaunda, General, not only that, it's not just an insult to the family, but there is no law. There is no law that says that the body of a former president is government property. Absolutely none.
Well, Munshya, I wanted to come to that because you are the lawyer.
Right.
If my father had served as president and my father died, I would not accept the government to tell me what to do with my father's body.
Right.
I wouldn't accept that. And in this case, Dr. Kaunda did not die in office, that the state must make a decision. And Munshya, I want to tell Zambians one thing. I visited Dr. Kaunda after his wife died. Right. I had a discussion with Dr. Kaunda. And I asked him a question, a very, 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 very serious question. I said, Your Excellency, with this arrangement, what's going to happen when you go? Because me, I was very open to the old man. He told me he was going to be buried next to his dear Betty.
Right.
And his will, which was written to the government through the Secretary of the Cabinet, is very, very clear that the man said he was going to be buried next to his wife. What is the problem?
Right.
The family wants Dr. Kaunda's body to be buried next to his wife. Munshya, we are now getting news that the state is planning. First of all, they've spent close to about 2 million kwacha or so building something which they call a burial place. But they are saying it's going to be a ceremonial burial.
Okay. What does that mean?
It's going to be a ceremonial burial just to show the whole world to say they've buried him there. Afterwards, the family can take the body if they want. Now, you are the lawyer, Munshya. What does that mean?
No. It's not a legal term. This is not a legal problem. I think it's a Kelenka problem. The Patriotic Front is a party of Kelenkas, and so what they are trying to do with Kenneth Kaunda is consistent with their pattern of being Kelenkas. It's consistent with their pattern. So what they are saying, if I'm hearing you very well, General, is they want the family to pretend a burial at the presidential burial site. And then when everybody is sleeping, they want the family then to take the body and bury it at the family's preferred place or at Kenneth Kaunda's preferred place. That is deception, total deception. It's unacceptable. It makes no sense.
To me, it's deception. To me, it's deception of the worst order.
Right.
The family has got a right to decide where their father or their grandfather or great-grandfather is going to be buried. Dr. Kaunda's will is very, very clear. And people like Patrick Kangwa, the Deputy Secretary of the Cabinet, and the Secretary of the Cabinet, Dr. Miti, you must be ashamed of yourselves.
Right.
Dr. Lungu, Mr. Lungu, I don't want to call him Dr. Lungu. He's not a doctor, by the way. He's Mr. Lungu. Mr. Edgar Lungu.
No, he has an honorary degree in good governance, please.
No,
so give honor where honor is due.
He doesn't have good governance. He doesn't even know what governance is all about. So I will not take that. Mr.
Right.
Edgar Lungu, you are now trying to politicize Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's funeral.
Right.
Everybody saw that on Saturday. Right. Everybody saw that by refusing to invite HH, you wanted to politicize this funeral. Throughout, the speeches have been political. The ceremony itself was political. The ceremonial burial is going to be political. My take is this is a complete deception. If we are spending 2 million, probably 2 or more, pretending to bury him on Wednesday, who is going to foot the bill for exhuming the body and taking it to his wife? It's deception.
Right.
And to me, it's like the state, Mr. Lungu, is trying to divide the family. It's trying to divide the Zambians. Because as far as I'm concerned, now the Zambians again are divided. Half of us are divided. Some PF people who want to take advantage of Dr. Kaunda's body and use it for campaign are going to say, yeah, that place is very, very small.
Right. Yeah.
So you divide the family. You are now dividing the country. You will bring serious division between the political parties. You invite Sean Tembo, you invite all these political parties, including Nevas Mumba, but mysteriously, HH's card misses. This is dividing the country. I think, in my view, I heard it from Dr. Kaunda's mouth. Dr. Kaunda must be buried next to his wife, Betty.
All right. Okay. Now, aside, so those are the wishes, quite all right, right? But even if they were not the wishes, the so-called presidential burial site at Embassy Park is way too small. It was never intended to have heavy traffic at all, right? Because that was just like a play park opposite in a cul-de-sac, right?
But whose wish?
In a cul-de-sac opposite cabinet office, that is where the place is. It's just too small. It's not enough to contain all these mausoleums that they are claiming to build.
Yeah, Munshya, I find it very strange. First of all, whose wish are they following? Dr. Kaunda's wish, the family's wish, or Mr. Lungu's wish?
Look, there isn't even like Mr. Lungu's wish, because there is no wish there. That is just a very small, crowded piece of land. I would be surprised if it's even an acre. I think that's even less than an acre. Is that an acre?
Yeah, whatever it is, Munshya.
It's a very small place.
Dr. Kaunda, when it's small, it's small. Does it mean that every Zambian president who will die will be forced to be buried there?
No. By the time these ones are dying, they'll find a better place somewhere in the farms. They're not going to be buried there because there is there. being buried there. That's enough. You cannot continue. So Kaunda will be fourth, and Kaunda's stature is going to be bringing so much traffic to that place. This can't happen. The most logical thing that should be done is, now there is some confusion. People do not know what we mean when we say at the farm next to Betty. It is Kaunda's current house, residence. A few meters from his residence, that is where Mama Betty Kaunda is buried. Isn't it, General?
Yes.
And so it was the wish of President Kaunda to be buried next to his wife at their home.
Munshya,
in State Lodge area.
That is the wish of Dr. Kaunda. That is the wish of the children. That is the wish of the grandchildren. That is the wish of the grandchildren. And I think that's the wish of the majority of the Zambians, because you cannot separate these two people. You cannot separate these two people. And if the government wants to take charge, that land can be given back to the government so that it is turned into a museum for Dr. Kaunda next to his wife. Because when he fought for independence of Zambia, he fought this independence with his wife. Why separate them? Why separate them? Or why pretend to bury him on Wednesday and then exhume him after 2 days or after 1 month? And who's going to be responsible for that cost? To me, it looks like the Zambian government is playing politics with Dr. Kaunda's body. It looks like the Zambian government is trying to divide the family and divide the nation over this funeral. Dr. Kaunda did not die in office for the state to call him a state property or trophy, whatever word they want to use, because that is disgraceful.
No. A former president, as a matter of fact, if a person dies, they are no longer president. So if you are president of Zambia, then you die. At the moment of death, you cease to be president of Zambia. That is the law. That is common sense. You vacate office on resignation, on death, or if a court removes you because you are sick. That is when you cease to be president of Zambia. And so you do not continue to be government property after you are dead. That is just common sense. And so this argument that Kenneth Kaunda is state property is illegal. It is nonsense. President Kaunda, quite all right, was the first president of our country. Is the liberation struggle, his identity is very much engraved with our country. However, his family still remains his family. If you are saying that Kenneth Kaunda was state property, then what you are implying is that all of his children and his grandchildren are therefore state property. And if they are state property, it means that their wishes should be taken into account.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
We have proposals of what should be done to that house. If that house became the burial place of Kenneth Kaunda, they can turn his house, the government or a separate trust that they create, can purchase that house from the estate of Kenneth Kaunda, create a museum in State Lodge, a museum that is going to be large enough to contain the story of Kenneth Kaunda. That museum can be run by the Kaunda family, because the Kaunda family retain copyright over so many things that belonged to Kaunda. They retain the estate, they retain some of his speeches, they retain some pieces of his history, of the story. They still maintain it because they are family. Then government can have a say in it, and other cooperating partners, such as the South African National Congress, ANC. It has vested interest in that story. And so is UNIP. They have vested interest in Kenneth Kaunda. So why can't you turn President Kaunda's current estate, that house at State Lodge, turn it into a museum? And I got this idea from General. General is the one who gave me this idea. General is the one who makes me appear wise. Otherwise, on my own, General about to be wise. So
it's very, very clear, Munshya, that the history of Kaunda and Zambia, the liberation wars of which the presidents of the African presidents told very well on Saturday. The PF doesn't even know that story because none of their ministers was involved in the liberation war.
No.
That story can be told very well for the rest of the children, our children and our grandchildren, by creating a proper museum which will have Dr. Kaunda's story. And the ANC, UNIP, the Frelimo of Mozambique, Angola, the parties in Angola, Namibian political parties, where Kaunda actually helped. Dr. Kaunda has got a house in Namibia. The Namibians would not fail to invest in a museum of Dr. Kaunda. You heard what their president said, Munshya. They built
Right.
Dr. Kaunda a house in Namibia. Honestly, are we saying they can fail to put up a museum which tells the story of their liberation in Zambia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Angola, and Namibia, including the Zambian government, including the Kaunda family. But there are also a lot of other people who worked with Kaunda. The Church of Scotland. The Church of Scotland has got an interest because the father was the Church of Scotland missionary. When I brought KK to Scotland here, they were asking a lot of questions. They want his history to be preserved. How about where he settled in the north? What place is that again, Munshya? Where the father was?
Lubwa Mission.
Lubwa Mission. People can actually go to Lubwa Mission, go and see where Kaunda was born. The Scottish people are also interested to find out where Dr. Livingstone died. Then they would want to go and see where Kaunda is actually was put to rest. That is what people would be doing when they come to Zambia.
Right.
They would want to see that. So this idea, Mr. Patrick Kangwa and Dr. Miti, that you own the body of Dr. Kaunda, as far as I'm concerned, it's immoral, it's illegal. You don't. That body belongs to the family, and it's the family who have to make a decision. I personally heard from the mouth of Dr. Kaunda saying his wish was to be buried next to his wife. So how can you then pretend on Wednesday, spend 2 million, close to, I'm not saying 2 million, but it's close to 2 million.
What have they done? What have they done with that land, with that embassy park for 2 million?
They have put in all the beautiful things. They have not even shown them to on ZNBC. Nobody knows what it is. I don't even think the family knows, because to tell you the truth, the family doesn't even want to go there. Now, they spend that money, and then when Zambians don't know, the Kaunda family must exhume the body and take it to the farm. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. And how is that going to be implemented? Are they going to sign a contract with the Kaunda estate that they are going to allow them to exhume the body? And is President Lungu just going to say no, don't do it, and it ends there?
Exactly, because that could be the situation. They can have a ceremony. They can have a ceremonial burial on Wednesday, and the following day, Mr. Lungu says, no, you can't take the body. What will the Kaundas do?
Nothing. Yeah. Nibu Kelenka, this is Kelenka kind of behavior. What does it mean to be a Kelenka? To be a Kelenka is to be giving impression that you want to do something, and yet behind the back, go and do something completely opposite. So you tell the Kaunda family, it's okay. What we are going to do is we are going to bury him as a government, but so when I say this is what I mean. You see, evidence. You tell the family, in Chiwempala, we used to call it Berera. General, do you know what Berera means?
Munshya grew up in Mfulira. I know what Berera means. Okay.
So bashika Berera. So Kaunda bakamushika Berera pa Wednesday. Elo nomba to family ike self sender ika yemushika nomba in truth at the state lodge. That does not make sense. It's a way to divide the family. It's the way to deceive the people of Zambia. If it mulandunsha pangire kaundo wakubati mumushike twice.
What's the reason?
No, that does not make sense.
Munshya, they want to use Kaunda's body as a campaigning tool. 40 days to go before elections. They want on Wednesday, that is going to be a campaign tool. That's why all the ceremony, it was green. Everything around Kaunda was green on Saturday, because it's a PF ceremony. They want to make it a PF ceremony on Wednesday. Munshya, I want to challenge Dr. Miti and Mr. Patrick Kangwa. Mr. Patrick Kangwa, I'm challenging you. Publish the letter which Dr. Kaunda wrote to you about his wish. Publish it tomorrow.
Right.
And can you publish the letter you as a government have written to the Kaunda family about this funeral? And what conditions did you give them? And the other thing is, Dr. Miti, you cannot try and use the Attorney General to threaten a family. You can't do that.
No. Under what basis?
Under what basis? You can't use the Attorney General to try and threaten and mislead the family. That's exactly what they're trying to do. My challenge to them, Dr. Miti, is publish the letter which Dr. Kaunda wrote to you before he died. Publish the letter which you wrote to the family after Dr. Kaunda died. Publish all the discussions you've had so that the Zambian people know the truth, instead of trying to pretend Berera by Wednesday to bury him and then bury him again.
It's a government of Berera, Fionsefia Berera. You know, everything it's Katwishi, Berera, confusion. This is what President Lungu has brought to our country. I think next month, the people of Zambia have a choice. And we have been very categorical and clear. President Lungu has destroyed this country. Don't even vote for him. Now, there is a survey general that has come out. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I know exactly where you're going. Go ahead, Munshya. Go ahead.
So there is a survey that is claiming that President Lungu right now is standing at 44% and Hakainde Hichilema is at 30%.
Munshya, I have done research in my life. I've done all the research methods you can talk about, whether it's quantitative methods or qualitative methods. I've done social science research in my life. My master's, I had to do research methodology as one of my topics. When I looked at that report, I was watching it live from KBN. You cannot make conclusions which suit you, which suit your political agenda.
Right.
Secondly, I want to find out how many people do they interview? What method? Was it a phone call? Was it a survey?
General, these are kelenkas. So what they are claiming is now such surveys are done with a very small sample. But they are claiming that they did the survey with 59,000 people over 3 weeks. Now, that is not a survey, that's a conference. There is no statistician in the world who goes to survey an election with a sample size of 59,000 people. That is, the sample is way too many. You can't. It doesn't make sense.
Munshya, even the sample, it's chosen Southern Province versus Luapula versus Eastern Province versus Copper Belt. And Munshya, there is no such sampling method. You can't do that. And first of all, I want to ask them, Dr. Chirwa, who sponsored your survey? Right. Because for you to administer a questionnaire to 56,000 people, the costs involved,
Right.
The time you analyzed the research, the analysis, who did the analysis, there is a so-called professor in the UK who's fake. That guy is not a professor. He's fake.
These are kelenkas. Imwe bantu kanshi inenga ndemye bat ine na bachipako. Ngatule mye bat abani ba kelenka. Mumona kwachi we just hate them. Imwe. Kwali bapo survey 59,000 people over 3 weeks. It means then that they were interviewing about 500 people a day in every province. In every province, 5 provinces. 500 people. And then within that time, batch statistical analysis. Within that time. Now, what were they using? Were they using were they using telephone? Was it personal? Was it qualitative? What sort of interview is that? 500 a day.
It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. And then the conclusions of the people voting for Lungu are very, very the conclusions are they are going to vote for Mr. Lungu because of the unprecedented infrastructure development in Luapula, including Kawumbo, which villager gives you such an answer?
Okay, so General, it's not just that they ask 500 people per day, but they also ask details. So it's not just like who is your voting preference, right?
Yeah.
Because when you are doing this, you're not going to have 19 answers. No, you're going to say, you're going to first of all come with assumptions. Okay, the assumption is we have 2 or 3 leading contenders. Okay, those are the ones that we are going to list. And the rest we are going to say others. Because you can't have 19. There is no one who is going to stay on the phone listening to 19 options. Okay, for Kenneth Kaunda. Sorry, Munjerereko, General. I'm not talking about Kenneth Kaunda. Edgar Lungu, press 1. Nevas Mumba, press 2. Hakainde Hichilema, press 3. Anderson Banda, press 4. You can't do a survey like that. And they're telling us it's 500 people per day. Okay, let's assume that it's on online. You can't go online and choose out of 19. But that's not the only thing. The other thing is, they're also asking detailed questions. Like, why would you vote for Hakainde Hichilema? It's because of some funny thing that
I think he is going to do the economy very well. And on why they vote for Edgar Lungu, very specific. Kawambwa Tea Estate, the Expo. Which villager knows the Expo in Kawambwa? The impact of the Luapula Expo. And Munshya, it just doesn't make. First of all, who paid for that research?
Right.
And remember, months and months ago, Mr. Lungu said he was going to win by 70%. Remember that?
Yes. So
this research, fake research, is meant to justify what Mr. Lungu said. It's called, trying to influence the perception of the people, to influence the voter, to drive them to think like PF.
Right.
That's what this research was meant to. It's a PR exercise. The question is, how much have you paid that Muzungu researcher, that fake professor? Because it's fake.
Everything is fake. Even the professors that they bring, they are all fake. This is very. This is the Kelenka way
Can I spill the beans now?
Please do.
We know who put that research team together. The president's political advisor put that fake research team together, and Dr. Chirwa, you are damaging your academic qualifications. This guy should is supposed to have studied at Warwick University. The beauty about this country, when you do a master's degree or a PhD in this country, the record is there. So I did a bit of research this morning, and I found out that the professor, Musungu, to try and justify Ubufi at Mumla Sungu. And the other thing which really annoyed me is to see my friend Frank Mtubila, my elder brother, being used. But Frank Mtubila, you are my fellow UZ member. How do you want to put your name to such a fake thing? I don't understand it.
In what ways has he put his name there?
He was cheering and trying to justify that this is genuine, it's valid research, it works very well. And you journalists do not go and report that team Dr. Lungu is leading, because it could not be true, it could be true. But Frank Mtubila, my brother, you are my brother. Why damage your name like that? You've been in business for a long time. But if they've paid you, that's fine.
Okay.
You're just facilitating on Twitter. If they've paid you for that, that's okay.
Now, General, we know that that's a fake Kelenka document, but now I want to build some assumptions in the data, okay? I know that it's fake, but I want to build some assumptions in the data, and I will tell you the result after I have given you because a survey like a political prediction, if you're predicting something political, you take data and history into account. You can't just say you asked 59,000 people and they told you something. No, you first of all go to history. You build all that in the data. So here is my take. According to this survey, it says that Southern Province, okay, Southern Province is going to give Hakainde Hichilema 65%. All right. Now, I'm going to use their number. I'm not going to use any other number. I'll use just their figures and what they are saying. If they have given Hakainde Hichilema 65% in Southern Province, I am going to raise and predict the turnout. Assuming that everything is equal in all the other provinces, once I raise the turnout of Southern Province to its historical high, right? Because this election is likely to give us a historic turnout. When I raise Southern Province, what I find is that the 44% that they've given to Lungu dwindles significantly. In other words, using the data that they have created themselves, Edgar Lungu is in trouble.
Munshya, let's go to Eastern Province. What have they given Mr. Lungu?
70%.
Mr. Lungu, if you get 35% in Eastern Province, you'll be very lucky. From the chiefs I'm hearing, from the civil servants, and from the farmers, if he gets 40%, he'll be very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go to the Copper Belt. What has he given? What has he given himself? First of all, this thing is like somebody setting his own examination paper and marking it. That's what Mr. Lungu is trying to do. Copper Belt. What has he given himself?
So let's look at some of the presumptions here. I don't have the whole thing.
He's basically saying he's going to win in Copper Belt. Mr. Lungu, Copper Belt is gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Eastern Province, they've given Edgar Lungu 70% and Hakainde Hichilema 15%. Southern Province have given Hakainde Hichilema 65%.
Yeah.
This is laughable. Actually, you see, General, this is not, I'm not even using very complicated as a researcher. No. You see, they say that Edgar Lungu is going to get 70% in Eastern Province.
Not possible.
Hakainde Hichilema is going to get 65% in Southern Province. Now, common sense, it tells you that there is something wrong here. Takwaba, you can't do that. You can't guess things like this. Edgar Lungu is not getting 70% in Eastern Province. And Hakainde Hichilema is not getting 65% in Southern Province. There is no contest there, first of all. Practical. There is no contest between Edgar Lungu and Hakainde Hichilema in Southern Province.
So
Common sense tells you that.
Mr. Lungu, go ahead.
So Southern Province, it can't be 65%. Now, for the benefit of argument, once I just raise it and make it equivalent to Eastern Province and say, let's say 70% to Hakainde Hichilema in Southern Province and 70% to Edgar Lungu in Eastern Province. Let's make it like that. You know what happens? Hakainde Hichilema 70% in Southern Province accounts for a greater number of votes than Edgar Lungu 70% in Eastern Province. I don't know whether I'm making sense. Which means just from the data that they themselves have generated, Edgar Lungu is indeed.
So as I said, Munshya and our viewers, it's like somebody setting his own examination paper and marking it and then displaying it from a window and saying, in pass. Na pass, I've got an MSc, I've got a PhD. After examining yourself and marking it. That's what Mr. Lungu is trying to do. It's called deception, Mr. Lungu. You are trying to deceive the Zambian people 4 weeks before the elections and tell people, make them think that you are popular when you are not. It's deception. It's complete deception. And you know, he's trying to influence voters 4 weeks before by lying to them. Yeah, that Eastern Province is going to give him 70%. It's not true. Even Arabi, who was very, very popular in Eastern Province, did not get 70%.
No.
Look at the historical elections. There's no way that he would have got 70%. Even Arabi never got 70%.
Right.
So where is this popularity from Mr. Lungu? Mr. Lungu won't even get that amount in Petauke where he comes from.
Government of the way they dealt with butane, that's how they're doing it. First of all, you find pseudo-intellectual quacks, right?
Yeah.
So you bring pseudo-intellectual quacks together, and they don't even think critically about anything. You see, quite but at least more plan number. They are pseudo-intellectual quacks. So Kwisa, and then they make all these things and they publish it, and it appears like it's legitimate. This is junk science. It's nonsense. It's a Kelenka survey. That's what it is. Number, if we're to we are just trying to tell you, but the survey itself does not make sense. Let me try to get the data from Copperbelt, because they did a survey on Copperbelt.
They did a survey on Copperbelt, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And let me give you my predictions, Munshya.
Yeah.
For Copperbelt. If Mr. Lungu gets 30%, the Copperbelt will be very lucky.
Now,
very
General, lucky. I just want to be realistic here. Even if Lungu got like half, if they split the Copperbelt half, Lungu is gone. If the Copperbelt splits half and Lusaka splits half, Lungu is gone. Hakainde Hichilema is above 50%.
What I don't understand is how they allocated people like Mumembe 1% to Southern Province. Well, what was the scientific way of that allocation of 1%?
In what they asked 59,000 people.
And
with
they say,
of 19 names. And then they took it, input the data. After they input the data, and then they came up with that survey. And they've done 5 provinces. Now they will go to the next 5. It's laughable.
For me, don't even waste your time spending it to the rest of the 5 provinces. Give that money to buy oxygen cylinders, Mr. Lungu, so that our people don't die.
Right.
Instead of wasting money giving that young man, your political advisor, money to spend on useless things. That research is unscientific. Those are what we call academic quacks, because they are just quacks. That's what they are.
General, pseudo-intellectual quacks.
Quack. Exactly. That's what they are. So they no musungu. I said no musungu. And you know, Munshya, me, I was watching it. Let's bring Professor so from the UK. They want to justify Ubu. Because you know, the UK, Professor UK, everybody, every PF cadre will say yes, it's true. We know these professors, guys. We are in the academic world. We know which professors do what in this country. That guy is not a professor; he's a fake fellow.
Yeah. Yeah, and that very organization, organization, it's also a fake one. So everything is fake. Kanshi in government of fake. It's a government of liars. It's a government of kelenkas. It's a government of kandolo. It's a it's a kandolo government. This is what it is. It's extremely crazy. But if we are trying to help, if we're General, do we have vested interest in this? No, General, you do have vested interest.
Me, I have vested interest.
I'm neutral. So even from a very independent perspective, you look at this survey, it tells you. In fact, it screams. This survey is a dizzy survey. It's a kandolo survey. It's an intellectual quacks survey. It's a nonsense survey. It's a kelenka survey.
But what I was surprised, Munshya, NDC didn't even get featured in any way. Honestly, NDC, you couldn't even get 0.5% to vote to Southern Province. What have you been doing all along? Now, Northern Province by NDC, you couldn't even get 0.2%. Nothing. So,
no comment.
No, the message is clear, Munshya. Me, I watched the whole presentation. Even the so-called lead researcher was a joke. I could see that the guy was just trying to, they were plucking figures from the air, from the thin air. Oh, Papula, 70%, that's fine. The reasons why: unprecedented road infrastructure, including Kawamba Tea Estate, and including Chashara Kokubika na Mwanza battery, but they forgot to put it there.
Did they include Kandolo?
I think they did put Kandolo. They put in the Luapula Expo, you know, and Expo. That is what the people. That's what all the people of Luapula, Avena, Frank, Saliki are going to vote for the Expo. Yeah. That is sad.
Anyway, the people of London Expo is General.
No, that's what they say. They are going to vote for Mr. Lungu because he took the Expo, the Trade Expo. And I kept on telling people to say, before I came to the UK, the first rural expo was in Chipata. I brought in 3 countries, Mozambique, Zambia, and Malawi to Chipata. So, Luapula, don't boast about your expo. You're not the first ones.
Well, I just think they must have interviewed some very, very intelligent people in those villages, wouldn't they?
Yeah. So 59,000 divided by our law firm here always has a calculator. So 59,000 people divided by 5, it means they were getting 11,800 participants in every province.
Yeah.
This is unrealistic. Yeah, for an election survey.
Munshya, you are a lawyer. This young man is a business management specialist. What did you learn from your research method? What have you observed from this research, Frank? You did research methods.
I did, when I was doing my distinction, it took me probably about a month to interview 300-400 people. So I want to know what methods they use to interview 59,000 people in a week. I want to know, because that sounds very impressive. It's just a lie. It's literally impossible. And the question that they had to ask required detailed responses to those questions. So to get that amount of time it's not practical. It's not practical. It does not work. They were trying to lie. They're not very good at it. They should stop.
Exactly. Exactly. For me, I watched the whole thing, listened to the whole presentation. I just laughed. Not even a first-year student in this country would show that lie. That is a lie. A first-year business student would not lie like that. I would give him. I would actually. No, we're not allowed to smack in this country. I would give him 0 for that work.
The first few minutes you saw of that presentation, straight away you thought, this is off. It's completely off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wiseman.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen the survey? Edgar Lungu is at 44%.
Exactly. Good evening, General.
Good evening, Wiseman. How are you?
Fine, sir. And how are you, Frank?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Wiseman?
Thank you very much. First of all, Comrade Munshya, I can see you are happy. You were talking with your president today, Saboy Imbolela on TV Bakwetu. I was amazed to say, okay, wow, NDC on the desk now.
No. We had a memorial program for Levi Sakala, and Levi Sakala was a friend of Saboy Imbolela. And so we wanted to remember Levi Sakala. That was what the program was all about. And I thought that DJ Shosta did very well when he interviewed Levi Sakala. And so he featured on the program as well. It was a memorial program. We were remembering a stalwart of Zambian art. And so that's why we brought Miss Imbolela on TV Bakwetu.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched
not in our capacity as president. No, it was in our personal capacity as an artist. I think that we should recognize. And for me, Levi Sakala was a good artist. He was a good musician. So I'm glad that we did that, Munshya.
Yeah, that was on the lighter note. Otherwise, I watched the whole interview and I enjoyed it. Coming to the surveyors, coming to those kerenkas, I think for me, Comrade General and Comrade Munshya, I agree with them in the sense that I'm sure they only send the drone in Zambia, and those drones they were targeting billboards. When it comes to surveillance of billboards, yes, PF can be ahead because they have put billboards everywhere and they are busy tearing our billboards. So when it comes to such kind of surveillance, I think they're able to get those statistics whereby they can find that in Lusaka, there are more billboards than the billboards for UPND, and they are going to think that PF is popular. When they go to Copper Belt, same applies. So for me, I think those people, they were fake and they were trying to dwindle our process. How can they say voting is private? Meanwhile, they have already voted. How possible is that? So for me, I think those people, when it comes to Amnesty International, everyone labeled it black. Now this crook surveillance, everyone is cherishing it. How come? So
yeah, no. The thing is, what they are saying is that they actually so just to be clear, when you're doing a political election survey, you don't need a very large sample because 59,000 people, it's going to confuse matters. The other thing is you do random sampling across the country, right? So it could be 1,000 telephone calls that go automatically and people answer and they are given choices so that they press. That's a much more consistent thing. Big countries such as America, when they're doing surveys, or even England, it's not 59,000. They don't go asking 59,000 people. It's 1,000 people, random sampling across England, across Scotland, across Wales. That's what happens. And then people give their answers. It's got to be very simple answers. If an election were to be held today, who would you elect as president? A, if it's Kaunda, if it's Edgar Lungu, you press 1. 1 for Edgar Lungu. 2 for Hakainde Hichilema, 3 for Nevas Mumba, 5 for whatever, and people make choices. 6 for others. They make choices, and then you have time to process the data. When you receive raw data, you then build in some assumptions in the data. You go to history, because turnout matters. How have the past elections, how has turnout been in the past elections? You build that into the system. It gives you percentages. It gives you numbers. That's what a survey is. But these people, I don't know what they were trying to do, whether they were trying to sound sophisticated by claiming that they interviewed 59,000 people in 5 provinces.
They wanted to validate. They wanted to validate their methods by overstating the sample, which is terrible. And
I think
the other thing that I suspect they went and interviewed PF cadres all over the provinces. Those are the 56 people they interviewed.
I think the biggest assumption in all of this is they probably think that what the survey says is what the people are going to say. We've seen this in elections in the UK, in the USA. Sometimes it's what the survey says, not what the people vote, because people change minds. So I don't know what game they're trying to play.
When you say that, it appears like it's even a legitimate survey. It's not even a legitimate survey, right?
No, it's not.
This is not even professional people who are doing sampling and they're doing a survey. This is like a group of pseudo intellectual quacks who cook up things, and then they present it as a legitimate thing. And this is
the big question nonsense. Is why does the government? Why do the government want to do that? What's number one reason they would want to do that?
It's called image building. It's called image building. That's what they're trying to do. They're basically trying to use that as a public relations exercise. It's an image building exercise. So that is complete nonsense. Now, before we continue wasting our time on this research, which is completely it's fake. Wiseman, what do you think about the issue of Dr. Kaunda's burial? Before I come to
I think thank you very much. I think the issue of our High Con's burial, I think it's just it's one of the straightforward issue. I think we celebrate KK both as we celebrate Mama Bet Kaunda. On my own opinion, I think they could have taken the body of KK where Mama Bet Kaunda she's sleeping. I think that's the only thing which we can do, and we will never lose anything. That thing called presidential burial site, I think it's something which is not even conducive for the body of KK. You know, KK, I think for me, this government, what they are trying to do, I think problem of this such pante government of PF, they like copy and paste thing. That's why everything they are doing is now fake. They are Chabatora no Mbanakuri body of the High Con to go and do a copy and paste. So for me, let them stop wasting people's time. Let them stop wasting Zambian taxpayers' money. Let them do the right thing before this issue can now resume. Before KK's spirit can resume and start hunting them one by one. They can pray to other things like give us fake medicine, give us fake condoms, but you can't pray to such kind of spirits. So before it start hunting them, let them turn down, let them do what the right thing has to be done. That's what I can think. That's what I can speak, and what I'm able to see on the issue of KK's burial. Let them take the body of KK where Mama Betty is sleeping.
They want
it's a family decision at the end of the matter. I would not want to be arguing with the state of where I bury my own relative. Yes, he's our founding father, but at the end of the day, he is someone's father, and their relatives have got the right to make a decision of where they bury their father. It's not up to the states to make that decision.
Exactly. I mean, the argument that Dr. Kaunda's body is state trophy, I think it's an insult.
I can't even believe this is even. I can't even believe this is even a conversation. I can't even believe a government could even turn this into a conversation at all. It's the family make a decision. The government, you got a responsibility to just support. This does not even have to be a conversation. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a political. They are trying to use Dr. Kaunda's body for political mileage. They're trying to use it to display to the whole country that they are the ones who have. It's a favor to buy Dr. Kaunda. No, it's not a favor. Dr. Kaunda is a respected person, and this man belongs to a family, and the best they can do is to give him his wish. I visited him, and I know what he told me.
It just feels like his funeral has not become like a funeral to celebrate his life. His funeral has just become a political game, and it's quite annoying and frustrating.
Yeah, right. It is. So to our viewers, I want you to tell us what you think. But at the same time, I've challenged Dr. Miti and the deputy, I think it's Mr. Patrick Kangwa, publish the letter which Dr. Kaunda wrote to you, stating his will, and publish the letter which you wrote to the children of Dr. Kaunda when he died, and tell us exactly what you decided. And what do you mean by a ceremonial burial on Wednesday? And yeah, they are going to have a fake burial on Wednesday. And what happens after the fake burial? And if it's true that you have spent close to 2 million, who's going to meet the costs for the next burial? Because there will be 2 burials now. Munshya, do we have any other person?
No, we don't. I think, and we must end here, General, and come back either tomorrow or Tuesday.
Before we go, Munshya, I just wanted to say to our viewers, thank you so much yesterday for the fundraising. It was fantastic. We still have to go and fundraise. We need more money. The message from Lusaka is bad. The information I'm having is that Levi Mwanawasa is completely run. No, I'm sorry, not Levi Mwanawasa. Maina Soko Hospital has completely run out of oxygen tonight. So let's be serious, guys. Let's fundraise. So thank you so much for those who participated yesterday. The donations still need to come. If you've got PPEs, you want to give them to the UK, give them to Frank, give them to Likes Masua, give them to Gloria Zimba. Let's fight on until we try and save people. The story from Lusaka is that the Maina Soko Hospital has no oxygen. And I hear the wife of a very senior military person has died at Maina Soko tonight. So that's very bad. Munshya, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. This has been a special broadcast talking about the burial of President Kenneth Kaunda. We continue with our mourning. We continue with urging the government to do the reasonable thing and stop this idea of Ugushika Kaunda Berera. Atwagaya mukushika Berera, eronga ba mushika, bakaye mushikula nomba bakaye mushika kufamu, kunganda kumwako. We say no. Let the family decide. Bakaye shika once and for all, so that we can remember Kenneth David Kaunda. Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much, General. Good night, and God bless you, and God bless our country. Please